Now at the halfway point of the 2025 NFL season, it seems like a good time to bring back report cards.
All right, I'm afraid to ask, but Titans, what's the grade?
I am giving Tennessee a giant red F.
How about we dive into all 32 NFL teams' grades at the halfway mark of the 2025 season. Arizona Cardinals, C-. The Cardinals got off to a promising 2-0 start before imploding with 5 straight losses going into their Week 8 bye. Kyler Murray's absence and James Conner's season-ending foot injury haven't helped matters. But the Cardinals were a below-average football team before the former got hurt. Atlanta Falcons, D. Not that the Falcons were a trendy pick to make the playoffs, but it's still discouraging to see more of the same in the first season with Michael Penix Jr. as the full-time starting QB. Their star-studded offense is a borderline bottom 5 unit, and the defense has made minimal impacts despite significant offseason reinforcements. Baltimore Ravens, C-. The grade would have been a big giant F back in October, but the Ravens saved their season for the time being with consecutive wins in weeks 8 and 9. And obviously, their record wouldn't be so bad if Lamar Jackson didn't miss 3 games. Buffalo Bills, A. Hey, nothing new here. The Bills are on their way to another season of 11-plus wins. The only question is if they'll hold off the surprising Patriots and claim their 6th straight AFC East Division crown. James Cook is in contention for the rushing title, Josh Allen's playing like a reigning MVP, and Sean McDermott's D is inside or near the top 10 in most key categories. Carolina Panthers, B+. Bryce Young has not taken that next step forward that many had expected. But somehow, in some way, Carolina just keeps finding ways to win. Running back Rico Dowdle, rookie wideout Teddarella McMillan, and a vastly improved defense have been the keys for Carolina. Chicago Bears, B+. Like Carolina, the Bears looked done for after dropping their first 2 games. Then they rallied with victories in 5 of their next 6, suddenly climbing into the race for the NFC North Division crown. Rookie head coach Ben Johnson has unlocked Caleb Williams and a star-studded offense. This just feels like the start of a special era in Chicago. Cincinnati Bengals, F. What's unfortunate is that even with Joe Burrow missing most of the season, Joe Flacco has played well enough to keep the Bengals in games. It's Cincinnati's atrocious defense and not the backup quarterback production that will have them picking in the top 10. Cleveland Browns, D. Nobody expected the Browns to be a playoff team this year, so yeah, their record really isn't that surprising. What's more frustrating is Kevin Stefanski's handling of the QB room. Seriously, why is he so obsessed with keeping Shedeur Sanders on the sidelines? Dallas Cowboys, D. On one hand, the Cowboys might finish the league's #1 offense thanks to monster seasons from Dak Prescott and George Pickens. On the other, Jerry Jones's decision to trade Micah Parsons without addressing the D in the offseason has Dallas mired in mediocrity. It is still maddening that the defense is specifically holding this offense in the middle of the pack. Denver Broncos, A+. If you have any complaints about the 2025 Broncos up to this point, well, you probably just aren't a Broncos fan. The Broncos are bona fide Super Bowl contenders and are in a good spot to end Kansas City's reign of 9 straight division crowns. Detroit Lions, B. The Lions needed just 8 games to top last year's loss total of 2, so that's never ideal. But they've had plenty of injuries to key starters and a daunting first-half schedule, so a 5-3 record is not exactly horrible. Green Bay Packers, A-. Spending the first half atop the NFC North is nice and all, but the Packers seem to flip-flop between championship-caliber performances and big-time stinkers. Houston Texans, F. Yeah, we know. The Texans have had a ton of injuries, and their first 5 losses were all decided by a single score. Heck, a few bounces here and there, and they're in the playoff race. But man, that O-line is a mess. CJ Stroud is having an inexplicably bad year, and DeMeco Ryans' late-game management has been very brutal. Indianapolis Colts, A+. Let's see here. 2 MVP candidates in Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor, the league's #1 scoring offense, a top 10 defense, and a clear path to their first AFC South Division crown since 2014. Yeah, it's hard to find any complaints if you're a Colts fan. Jacksonville Jaguars, B+. Trevor Lawrence hasn't made the superstar leap many expected under rookie head coach Liam Cohen, and Travis Hunter's production has been meh on both sides of the ball. But the scrappy and pesky Jags just keep churning out wins. Kansas City Chiefs, C-. Yeah, being 5-4 at their bye week is not what the Chiefs had in mind. But it is the Chiefs. They're allowed to sleepwalk through the regular season. Remember, they won the Super Bowl as a 3rd seed 2 years ago. Las Vegas Raiders, F. The Raiders did not hire Pete Carroll, trade for Geno Smith, and draft Ashton Jeanty to be in the AFC basement yet again. But here we are. Los Angeles Chargers A. Considering Najee Harris, Joe Alt, and Rashawn Slater all suffered season-ending injuries, and that Omari and Hampton landed on the IR, we think the Bolts would happily take a 6-3 record in the first half. Los Angeles Rams, A+. Hard to find any complaints if you're a Rams fan. Matthew Stafford is playing at an MVP level with the dynamic receiving duo of Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. And currently, LA is poised to finish with a top 10 defense for the first time since 2020. Miami Dolphins, F. The one silver lining we can think of is that Miami's horrid start finally prompted owner Stephen Ross to fire GM Chris Greer. Mike McDaniel is a dead man walking, and the Dolphins wound up having to host a giant fire sale ahead of the trade deadline. Oh, and Tua Tagovailoa's $212.4 million extension just kicked in this year. But hey, otherwise, it's not so bad out in South Beach. Minnesota Vikings, C-. It's hard to grade the Vikings any harsher than this, especially considering J.J. McCarthy missed 5 games with an ankle injury. But we will wonder why Minnesota didn't upgrade at backup QB during his absence, and why Carson Wentz was asked to play through a serious shoulder injury that required season-ending surgery. But hey, otherwise, the Vikings look pretty dangerous and playoff caliber with McCarthy on the field. New England Patriots, A+. Some thought the Patriots would be a dark horse wildcard contender if all broke right, but I don't think anybody thought Drake May would be an MVP candidate, and very few thought their defense would return to the level of elite that we saw under Bill Belichick for 2 decades. New Orleans Saints, C. One might wonder how the Saints aren't graded lower when they're arguably the worst team in all of football. On one hand, they are absolutely horrible across the board. But you know, that's exactly what this team needs. New York Giants, D. Yeah, not even the most optimistic Giants fan realistically thought that they could make the playoffs. But they mostly avoid an F here because rookie Jackson Dart has been a tremendous bright spot, despite losing star weapons Malik Neighbors and Cam Scatterbo for the season with injuries. New York Jets, F. When the Jets brought in a new front office, Aaron Glenn-led coaching staff, cut Aaron Rodgers and signed Justin Fields, the expectation was to win. Not to be even worse than last year's failed super team wannabes. Philadelphia Eagles, A-. It hasn't been flashy like last year, with the entire offense and usually stout pass rush experiencing their fair share of hiccups this year, but the defending champions know how to conquer adversity. And they have a second straight NFC East Division crown locked up. Pittsburgh Steelers, B. Aaron Rodgers has provided the consistency Pittsburgh sorely missed at quarterback in the previous 5 years. The defense isn't having the type of year that we'd expect, but the likes of Rodgers, TJ Watt, and DK Metcalf have been enough to help Pittsburgh build a comfortable lead for the AFC North crown. San Francisco 49ers, A. Despite season-ending injuries to Nick Bosa, Michael Williams, and Fred Warner, and despite Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, and Ricky Pearsall all missing valuable time, Mac Jones has the 49ers rolling and in contention for the NFC's top seed. Just a testament to Kyle Shanahan's excellent coaching and the depth assembled by GM John Lynch. Seattle Seahawks, A+. Many question the Seahawks' decision to trade Geno Smith and replace him with Sam Darnold. Now you see that GM John Schneider knew exactly what he was doing all along. Darnold is somehow playing even better than the star that we watched in Minnesota a year ago, and Mike McDonald's ultra-talented defense has finally come together to form a top-notch unit. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, A. Despite an onslaught of injuries to key starters, namely Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Bucky Irving, Cody Mock, and Kalijah Kancey, Baker Mayfield and the Bucs just keep grinding out heart-pounding victories. Yes, it helps to play in the horrible NFC South, but these Bucs also beat the 49ers and Seahawks to cement themselves as contenders. We'll see you here in January for the annual Bucs home playoff game. Tennessee Titans, F. The Titans could actually finish dead last in both scoring offense and scoring defense, and with the NFL's worst record for a second straight year. But hey, other than that, it's not all that bad. Washington Commanders, F. The Commanders were supposed to be a Super Bowl contender after winning 12 games en route to a surprise NFC Championship game appearance. Instead, they've been by far football's most disappointing team of 2025. Even before Jaden Daniels suffered that brutal elbow injury in a Week 9 loss to Seattle, the Seas never once looked like last year's team in the first half. The defense stinks, the ground game is meh, and Terry McLaurin's absence has made the passing game non-existent. They look like the same old Commanders that suffered under Dan Snyder's incompetent ownership. championship. Honestly, there is nothing positive to take away from the first half, plain and simple. But hey, what changes would you make to our midseason grades for all 32 NFL teams? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.